All right, Taurus, welcome in. Welcome in. This is your reading. All right, this is, I'm going to say Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, but I feel like I've been talking to people and the rising signs seem to be the loudest. The Sun and the rising signs resonating with this reading seem to be the loudest. So if you are a Taurus Venus or a Taurus Moon, you might want to check out your rising sign and your sun sign. Just saying. But if the title brought you here, then hello and welcome, Taurus. I hope everybody's doing great. This is for you. This is a tarot reading kind of combined with astrology more than I normally do. This is about the end of 2023. I will still be doing the December readings and all of that, but I wanted to do this to take you through the astrology of the rest of this year and get some tarot guidance around that. So in this video, I will be talking about the stelliums in Aries and in Sag. I'll tell you what that means for you. And then the full moon in Gemini, which is happening at the end of this month. In the extended, I'll go deeper into the astrology of December, okay? If you're wanting to learn how to read tarot from me, there's a link below. If you're wanting to do the tarot certification that starts up in January, there's a bundle below. There's also a link below for that. And jump on board. All right. So let's see where we go without further ado. Shadow. Okay. Shadow. What is going on for you? Trust. Wow. And divinity. Holy smokes. I do feel like for some of you, you're moving from a life that has been it's spiritual, but in a more connected to religion kind of way, rather than connected to your particular personal relationship with God, which don't have to be the same thing. Okay. A religion does have a place. I feel like that was a big part of your life. I feel like you might be moving into something more spiritual, that's less about community, right? Religion can be about community. It's also about a structure, a belief system, and things like that. Personal spirituality can be a very different kind of experience. You might be going toward your own personal spirituality. It's possible that, religion might kind of show up as maybe not as helpful at this time of your life as it has been in the past. Okay, so you might find that going on, and you might be moving toward your own awareness of your own connection to the divine, and especially if there's a situation that is bringing in big change. I feel like Taurus has been on the brink of some major change for a while here. So let's see where we get with the reading, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about the full moon in Gemini that's coming up later this month, and those stelliums. And a stellium is three planets or points or more in one sign, which elevates the energy. So we'll talk about that in a minute here, but let's see what the reading has to show you. The cards underneath are what you don't see coming. World. End of a cycle. 9 of Swords. 4 of Pentacles. This is something that 6 of Cups, Temperance energy, 6 of Pentacles. All right, 3 of Swords and the Hanged Man. You're really seeing things. 3 of Cups and the 10 of Swords. All right, look at all the threes. Okay, so there's something. First of all, there's something about maybe a relationship closing out, finishing up. There's a lot of anxiety around money as it relates to that. I feel like this is a childhood belief system that you have that is very traditional, that money brought into the house a certain way is the only way to bring money into the house. That is a belief system that is closing out for you. I think there is going to be help for you, something more expansive, something more aligning you with your spiritual gifts, maybe opening up a spiritual business or something like that. Completely different. The life that you're moving toward is completely different than what you've had in the past. Whether you're 20 years old or you're 80 years old or whatever it is, there's a massive shift here. There's a lot of threes here. 3 of Cups, 3 of Wands, 3 of Swords. There's a lot of threes here, and I feel like this is maybe just be for some of you, that when you're looking at a situation differently, you see things differently. Okay, so The Usual Suspects. Okay, The Usual Suspects, that movie, where the bad guy appears to be like the weak, kind of feeble guy. And he actually is the mastermind, Kaiser Sose, right? He is the mastermind. And that's why he's the mastermind, because he can make himself into all different kinds of shapes, all different kinds of people. So I think you're excuse me, I think you're needing to look at the people and relationships in your life in a completely different way. When you get to the end of that movie, The Usual Suspects, you recognize that the guy who is, I forget what his name is in the movie, his character name, and he's like a little bit lame, drags his foot, he's like, all that kind of stuff. And he's really ultimately the mastermind. He's okay with putting himself looking bad, looking weak, not correcting the police officer, letting the cop believe he's got the upper hand, because he's playing the long game. Okay? So if you want to look at if this is a massive shift, I feel like you're going to be like, oh, wow, I didn't know I couldn't trust that person, like a best friend or somebody, a spouse or something like that. Like, you might, this is somebody who's a one-to-one relationship with you, especially if you're coming to the end of a marriage or something like that. I think you're going to see it in a whole new light. I think there's going to be some kind of information showing up because you're meditating, because you're doing something different. There's going to be some new information showing up where you're like, oh, I didn't see that at all. Okay, so it's like a big aha moment coming in for Taurus. 8 of Pentacles could be career. Somebody giving you help was doing it for their own purposes. Okay, and then you recognize, oh, wow, we're keying into your shadow. Shadow is the part of ourselves that we don't want to recognize exists. So we like to think of ourselves as smart and funny and attractive and kind and generous. But what's on the inside, or what is really there, might be a distortion of a quality that you don't like. And it might be getting more and more distorted, kind of like that guy in The Usual Suspects, getting more and more distorted. And you're not seeing that happen. You start out this job, or you start out this relationship as being like the one to be counted on, the one who's the steady one, the one who's the stable one. And then 20 years, 40 years later, you realize that you're the workhorse, that you're being leaned on so heavily that you can't have any breathing space of your own. It's like turned negative. Also, parts of ourselves that we don't want to recognize get shoved down. If we think of ourselves as generous, but in practice, we don't do anything that's really generous, something that brings us out of our own way, something that is hard to do, right? It might be the difference between, writing a check to a charity and actually physically doing the work of the charity. Those are two different things. They're both helpful, but one is decidedly different than the other. Okay? And especially if writing that check doesn't really make a dent in your bank account, there's no sacrifice at all. I'm not suggesting that to be a generous person, you have to be a self-sacrificing one. But there is something here about the look of being generous, or the look of being a certain way, and in reality, it hasn't changed you at all. There's something that's been pushed down. So 8 of Pentacles, devil energy, or distorted. Like money might have been distorted for you. Money might have, in your growing up, this is a lot about your childhood. In growing up, it might have been a source of safety and protection. But then there's this mindset of like, well, if you get more, that means I get less. That's a scarcity mentality. And that's something that you're getting yourself free from. Okay. You're learning that that kind of philosophy is twisting you in a direction that is a shadow, that is twisted, right? There's definitely something. It's not Werner Kempler. That's Hogan's Heroes. Again, I'm dating myself. But like Werner Kimpel or something like that in that movie. Usual Suspects, just watch and you'll see what I mean. Okay, Eight of Wands, the King of Cups, the Queen of Swords, the Page of Cups, the Star card. Could be dealing with a Virgo, a Hermit, Virgo, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius. I feel like you're getting free of a situation, and there's eights here, right? I saw a lot of threes there. I feel like you're getting rid of a situation, getting free of a situation, and you think you're the one who is making that decision. Like you might feel empowered by that, but really the other person is kind of manipulating that, or vice versa. Like you want the other person to be the one to break up, so you're kind of manipulating that or something like that. And I just feel like what you're going to be aware of is there's a completely different truth, a completely different reality than the one you've been playing in. There's like a program running on the back of your computer that's moving the pieces around on the board, and you might just be reacting to it. Now, that could be your connection with God, that you could have this sense of like, it's in God's hands and God's going to take care of this and all of that. And that's true. But the reason that God gave us arms, legs, and a brain to work, with things is that he is trusting us with our lessons. Whatever we do with them is up to us. Right, Charlie? Whatever we do with them is up to us. So I think you're getting a sense of like, maybe someone is leaving your life. You think it's gone this way when actually there's a whole other storyline running that you didn't know about. You might want out, but it turns out that they wanted out too, but they didn't say that. Okay. So I think there's a sense here of apologies. I'm sorry, I must be going. I have to do my healing work. I'm aligning with a guru. You could be opening up to your spiritual gifts and divinity, okay? Becoming a guru or something like that, or going to a guru, going to a guide that's completely outside of a traditional thing, okay? And I want to clarify a couple things. So things could have been going along very traditionally, and something changed. It's like the end of a cycle. So I'll look at your astrology in a second here, but I want to clarify the Devil card. Knight of Pentacles. So Capricorn, Virgo showing up a lot here. Queen of Cups. Nine of Cups. King of Swords. I feel like the person you're dealing with, Taurus, actually is very different than you think. I also feel like you could have another person and you think your spouse doesn't know about them, but they do. They do know about it. And it's not that they don't care. It's that they have another direction planned for their life too. And that might dawn on you much later, that they were willing to let something go on, maybe a flirtation, maybe an innocent flirtation, but there is a sense of a choosing of a new timeline. Could be Aquarius time. Wow. By the next holiday, Thanksgiving. Holy moly. In time for Virgo season. We had Virgo here already. In 2 weeks, 10 days. Okay, so something really got off the ground in Virgo, It could be completed. The cycle is completed by next Virgo. Okay, next Virgo in Scorpio season. So right now we're at the very tail end. This is like immediately. I'm not seeing a tower, but the first card out, remember, was the World. So something is closing out. Some cycle is closing out like right now. Okay, and it will be completed in time for Virgo season, which is August into September of 2024. So that's important. Something about June. There's something important about June. I don't know if you're dealing with a Cancer or a Gemini. Could be dealing with that. I'm not seeing Cancer or Gemini here. Well, that's not true. The King of Cups and then the Queen of Swords. So there could be Cancer Gemini energy. And then there's Aquarian energy. So there could be some kind of conversation going on between Cancer, Gemini, Aquarius, or something like that. I just feel like there's another whole storyline that you're not paying attention to because of your shadow. Your shadow is blocking it. Your shadow is like, no, 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 I'm not that person. No, 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 that's not what's happening here. No, 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 it's not that. So let me share with you about the astrology that's ending up. Let's see, where is Taurus? That's ending this month. Okay. So, and then in the extended, I'll talk about December. But in November 24th, there's a stellium in Aries in your 12th house. Okay. And that is about spirituality. So we're talking about that. The divinity card shows up. We're talking about going from something traditional to something non-traditional. I feel like this storyline kind of pushes you in that direction. You may question your faith. You may question the difference between an old identity aligning with traditional spirituality and this new identity you're creating. 12th house is connection to God directly. Okay, it's not through a church or a belief system. It's direct connection. Okay, and this is where you're going to get the information about shifting into a new identity. Okay, completing a cycle, endings and beginnings, spiritual connections, enhancing, work through healing. Right here, work through healing, karmic cycles, soul contracts complete. Okay, so this is about past life karma and past life soul contracts that are coming to a close, coming to some kind of completion. And it is triggering some kind of shadow work for you about who you have been and where you're going. The stellium that's in Aries is North Node, Moon, and Chiron. It's very fleeting. It might just be for that day. So pay attention. By the next holiday, that's right on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's the 23rd. This happens on the 24th. So Black Friday, maybe giving a new meaning to Black Friday here. So the moon will be fleeting out of Aries very quickly. But Chiron in retrograde is that shadow, those things that need to be healed. So they could be coming up for your awareness. North Node is about stretching and going toward a future, a different kind of future. And that is showing up in your 12th house, which is the house of self-undoing. It can also be sticking your head in the sand. Maybe that's what's showing up. It's like, wow, how did I not see that? Am I sticking my head in the sand? It is trining a stellium in Sagittarius. That is showing up in your 8th house. 8th house is the house of death, wills, contracts. It's the house of what really goes on under the surface. So Sagittarius, there is what's in there. Sun, Mars is entering into Sagittarius, and Mercury. And so Mercury in Sagittarius is in detriment. The communication is collapsed because it's not about, hey, let's have a conversation necessarily, as it's like an undercurrent of communication, or it's things going on behind the scenes. 8th house, secrets, secret love affairs that show up as like, oh, I didn't realize that was what was all going on here. Mars entering Sagittarius, fire. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? Sagittarius is about belief systems. So do you feel that your traditional belief system has somehow failed you? Is that something that's coming up, like, wow, I made this promise, this is what I believed in, and it somehow failed me because there was this whole other storyline going on under the surface. So the two stelliums are activating on November 24th. Don't forget that Aries with that north node means it's in opposition to the south node over in Libra, which is in your 6th house of what shows up in your daily life. And Libra, south node, Venus, past life karma, past life contracts are something that you've been living out on a daily basis. And when those contracts close, there needs to be some healing around my daily routines. My daily routine is going to get very different all of a sudden. It's also about a day job. Some of you might be in the home and going into a different kind of daily experience, maybe taking a job outside of the home. There can be something like that. There can also be maybe balancing and coping by strengthening your daily routines, maybe adding in a spiritual practice, maybe adding in some different, very different kind of routine. Okay. Some of you could be leaving a career and coming home into the home for whatever reason. Maybe you need to take care of your parents, or maybe you need to take care of children or something like that. There's a reversal of whatever you've been doing for a long time is going to be very different than the next cycle. Okay. We also have on November 27th, full moon in Gemini, and this is in your 2nd house of self-worth and finances. So you could be, because of this, saying, I'm going to do something that's going to align with my new purpose. Some of you could be using this experience to really align with a spiritual purpose that becomes your career, okay? That becomes how you earn money. So lots of talking about money and closure is also going to happen because relationships could be coming to a close. Beware of just holding on. I feel like some of you might need help from a good money person or something like that. Some closing out of a long-term relationship could be happening here, and a lot of discussion about money. And that can be about this devil energy here. Like where money has come from in the past, it is going to be radically changing in the future. So I've got to shed some light on it. That full moon in Gemini, I got to talk turkey. Details are important. Gemini, details are important. What started back in June? All right. Did you have end of May into the end of June? What happened? Was there a conversation? Was there a manifestation of wanting to have a new kind of career, a new kind of life, and bam, here it is? Okay. So I will continue with your astrology in the extended. I'll talk about December. We have a Mercury retrograde coming. Holy moly. And let's see where we take this story because this is a big, big life change. Okay. Link is below, Taurus. If you want to continue on, I'll see you over there. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. If it was helpful to you, please consider liking this video and sharing it with anybody who might have a need for similar kind of information. And if you like this video, check out these videos.